Good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Fortin. I'm here for Michigan Matters, and we have a really important program tonight. If Michigan matters, so does how we vote, right? And there's going to be an attempt to get ranked choice voting in the state of Michigan. With ranked choice voting, we will probably never have a good candidate elected again in the state of Michigan. And we have a real good friend here today that knows all about it and going to talk to us about it. And it's Jackie Eubanks. And she's been here before and she'll be here again. She does a fantastic job. And I'd like to turn it over to her so that she can start explaining the situation we're in and how best to deal with it.
Thank you, Mark. So I know I appeared on this podcast a couple of weeks ago, maybe more than a month ago, to talk about ranked choice voting. I don't want to go through the whole litany of problems with it at this time. I can just give you a basic overview for those who haven't heard about it, what it is. It's essentially a method of voting where instead of just picking one candidate for a given race or a given seat on the ballot, you are asked to rank all of the candidates running for that specific seat in order of preference. So you would fill out bubbles next to the candidates that say first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, etc. So there's lots of different complicated problems with it. I've already gone over some of them. One of the issues, which I think is always important to remind people of, is that up to 27% of ranked choice voting ballots do get, quote, exhausted or thrown out through the multiple rounds of counting. The reason why I say multiple rounds of counting is that when you're ranking all of these candidates, you're voting for every single candidate running for a certain seat in order of preference, first place to last place. Inevitably, what happens is candidates do not crack 50% because there's so many that are running and you're picking all of them. So if no candidate in that first round of counting the votes gets more than 50% first choice votes, then the bottom scoring candidate, the candidate with the least number of first choice votes, is eliminated. And the reliance is completely on the tabulator, the voting machine, to go back to the ballots where that eliminated candidate was a first choice and find out whoever that voter picked as their second choice and retally their first choice vote to that second choice candidate who's still on the ballot, still in the rounds of counting. And so there are places where it's gone through 10 rounds of counting, 10 rounds of ballot elimination, and there have been up to 650 votes that was discarded over those multiple rounds. So, for example, in New York City, I believe it was in 2021, the New York City Council race, after 10 rounds of eliminating and retallying the votes, 650 ballots were missing from the final total number of votes because they had been eliminated through the multiple rounds because the voters did not fill out all candidates or there were errors on their ballots that made them unreadable to the machine. So those are some of the myriad problems with it, and I'd like to update people as to where that is in Michigan today. So there is an organization called Rank My Vote, which is trying to get a ballot initiative to put ranked choice voting on the November 26th ballot. So they are appearing this week, Friday at 9 a.m. This would be Friday, June 27th, 9 a.m. at the Board of State Canvassers meeting. And they will be presenting their 100-word summary, which appears at the top of their petition, which they're hoping to circulate this summer. And originally, the language had been one thing, but then we found out just yesterday that the language was changed. So what's currently on the agenda for the Michigan Board of State Canvassers as their 100-word summary is brand new. Many of us who are keeping up with it, trying to see what we could critique about the language in public comment, that has changed. So I want to read to the public what that new 100-word summary is, just so everybody is aware. Constitutional Amendment 2, establish new right to ranked choice voting, RCV, starting in 2029 for qualified offices, require voters numerically rank candidates. Determine winners by counting votes in rounds, eliminating lowest ranked candidate and redistributing votes. Allow voters to rank at least 4 more candidates than seats to be nominated or elected unless insufficient number of candidates file. Authorize local charter to provide use of RCV in limited local elections. Move August primary to June or earlier in the even year. recognize voter right to timely notice of election activities and to vote if in line when polls close, require legislative funding allocation, authorize implementing legislation. So that is their current 100-word summary, which will be presented to the Board of State Canvassers on Friday at 9 a.m. at the Binsfeld office in room 1100. So we, as the public, do have the opportunity to attend that hearing and present a 2 to 3 minute max public comment before the State Board of Canvassers, offering our thoughts on that 100-word summary.
Very good. Now, the point of clarification, you mentioned the multiple rounds of counting. There is not a multiple rounds of voting. You're voting once, but you're doing it by going down this list and making your choices in order, which means the machines that we hate, the machines that most Michiganders want to get rid of, will be doing all that tabulation. Won't be anybody involved. It'll all be a machine thing. So how do you verify an election in such a manner where maybe 4 or 5 times the machines go through a process of elimination to inform us who the winner is? And we don't trust machines now. And believe me, public officials do not want to get rid of these machines. So if we get rid of the machines, ranked choice voting is impossible, for one thing. But if you hate the machines, you better hate this, because we will never have a good candidate elected in Michigan again. We've had a very hard time getting good candidates elected in Michigan. But this ranked choice voting is a real poison in our society. It's a poison in Alaska and somewhere else.
In Maine, Alaska and Maine, yes.
Yeah, look at our 2 Republican senators from Alaska and Maine. They're there because of ranked choice voting, and they're left-wing Democrats running as Republicans. They are rhinos, both of them. In fact, the Alaska one, I think yesterday, I saw something somewhere where she said she's toying with the idea of changing parties if she thought she could help Alaskans more. Well, if she wants to help Alaskans, she'll vote for Trump's agenda because it'll make them wealthy and free and everything else. But socialists aren't interested in that sort of thing. But that's what you have in Alaska.
Yes, and it's deeply unpopular and caused extreme low voter turnout. So when it was implemented in Alaska in 2022, voter turnout dropped to the lowest in Alaskan state history at only 44% of people actually casting a ballot in that election, which is devastating that you're looking at less than 50% of the eligible voter population actually turning out. I mean, that's a crisis if you ask me. If we are a democratic republic, we would encourage as many eligible voters as possible to participate in our elections. And the fact that it dropped so low after this was implemented suggests that it's confusing. It's difficult for everyday voters to grasp this new method because it's so new. It's not traditional. It's not historical in the United States. A lot of disabled, English as second language, and elderly voters who may rely on absentee ballots, for example, could make mistakes because they're not familiar with this new method of voting. And then when they mail in their ballots and those ballots are opened at the absentee ballot counting board for counting, there's no way to correct those mistakes. So you've essentially disenfranchised untold numbers of voters who are already in a vulnerable position. And we need to ensure that their voices are being heard.
So their vote would be cast out.
Yes, essentially there would be no way to correct those ballots, and so they would not get counted. They would be considered spoiled, or they would be run through the tabulator machine and exhausted due to errors.
So these people who realize, by the way, that Michigan is going to turn red, Trump's doing a marvelous job, Republicans are going to win Michigan, and they're working on the future because they know that they can stop it all with ranked choice voting. And even in the Republican side of things, as you can see in Alaska and Maine, that the worst possible Republicans get elected in ranked choice voting. So between the machines and that sort of thing and the lower turnout and all the things you mentioned, we can't have this, folks. So we've got to really get it out there. Facebook, you mentioned earlier to me, we're talking that we can send a Facebook and everything, urging our people that we're friends with on Facebook or whatever, urging people not to sign that petition and have them urge other people not to sign the petition. Let's make sure it stays off the ballot, and we don't have to come up with millions of dollars to fight it.
I also want to take a moment just to encourage people that this hearing, you are able to send in your own comment to the Board of State Canvassers. So if you can't make it all the way to Lansing at 9 a.m. to give a public comment before the board, you can always email your own thoughts on that language. You would need to. There's a couple of requirements, of course, when you're emailing them. You have to address the whole board. You have to say to Chairman Hauskamp and the rest of the board members, you have to include a Thanksgiving greeting, like, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to make a public comment about this. So there are some requirements before you go off and just email your thoughts on the 100-word summary. And your thoughts do have to be about the clarity of the language. You have to discuss if the language is clear and accurate so that it's not misleading people when they sign the petition. We do have some points. I have put together some points in my personal capacity of comments you can make about the language. If we're looking at that 100-word summary and you're seeing that it says counting votes in rounds, eliminating lowest ranked candidate, and redistributing votes, you might say that it's overly simplistic and does not fully explain the complex RCV process, like how vote transfers happen, how they calculate the results, how tie breaking happens. So there's lots you can say about the language, but again, you have to stick exactly to what's in the 100-word summary. You can't just say, I don't like ranked choice voting because of this. You have to look at the 100-word summary and be specific as to what part of it you think is not clear or could cause confusion to anybody who's looking at the petition considering signing it.
Very good. That's important because knowing me, I would be very easily inclined to express my dissatisfaction with the whole idea. Whereas really, this meeting is strictly about the language of that 100-word summary.
Yes,
Okay.
Exactly.
It's important to keep that in mind. Okay, very good. So now I know that this is the 25th of June. Tomorrow's the 26th. Tomorrow, Michigan Matters is having a meeting at Shelby Gardens. You can find details at michiganmatters.org and the newsletter, and that will be 6:00 tomorrow. Jackie will be there to talk about this again because it's very timely. It's coming up on Friday, right?
Yes, Friday at 9 a.m.
The next morning, so we want to warn people about that. We have to defeat this thing. Monica Utoma will also be there. She's a potential candidate for Secretary of State, and she will be addressing the crowd and answering questions and so on. So I hope you can make that. On July 1st, we're having a euchre night at the office at 3909 Garfield. You can find more information about that in the newsletter. Now, if you want to get the newsletter, go to michiganmatters.org, and at the top, you'll see where you can sign up for the newsletter. It's free, and you'll get it every week, and you'll know what's going on in the area, that kind of thing. And then Veterans Returning Home, which is a fantastic organization, they're having a blowout sale, their new building, and that's going to be Saturday, I believe. And that too, the details you'll find on the website and on the newsletter. And so I hope we can see you tomorrow night at the meeting and get a chance to see Jackie and hear more about this. Is there anything else that you had to say about it?
I'll add that if this petition language, this 100-word summary, if it is accepted by the Board of Canvassers, then at that point, the Rank My Vote organization has said they will begin circulating those petitions in earnest beginning 4th of July weekend. So they have already stated that they are intending to go to rest areas, I believe probably also parades, fairs, festivals. So just be aware that you will very likely see those petition circulators out and about that weekend if this language does get approved by the board. So again, it's important that if you have any concerns about that 100-word summary, you should exercise your right to submit your public comment. And again, you can do that by emailing the Michigan Board of State Canvassers, or you can attend the public hearing on Friday at 9 a.m. in Lansing.
Yeah. So we need to get the word out to tell people, please do not sign this thing. you better believe, not that it's illegal, it's not, but you better believe that most of these canvassers are going to be paid. It's not illegal to pay people to get signatures. However, it is a sign that the attempted petition is not organic. It's not coming from the people. It's coming from somewhere else.
Yeah, there are a number of sponsors to this organization. One of them is Fair Vote. Fair Vote, I actually looked up some donation records for this organization and found that they were one of the major donors. Fair Vote is a progressive organization out of DC. And the reason I say progressive is because they promote things like overturning or abolishing the Electoral College, for example, which is a progressive position. Conservatives tend to support the Constitution as it was written by our founders and as it currently stands as amended in many cases. And so the fact that they would like to abolish the Electoral College is directly contradicting the electoral system set up by our founders. So again, that's who's one of the major funders, just so everybody is aware that that's who's financially supporting this ballot initiative.
Very good. So anyway, I want to thank you, Jackie, for doing this again. And we hope to have you soon because there's other things we could talk about, I'm sure. And but I want to thank all of you for watching this. I hope to see you tomorrow. Please get the newsletter so you know what's going on in the area. And go to michiganmatters.org. There's also our email is communications@michiganmatters.org if you have any comments or anything. Also, there's a donate button on the website. We could use any help that you'd be willing to give to keep doing the programs and to keep the office going and that kind of thing. We have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, how critical this period is. We saved America temporarily by electing Donald Trump. Now they're going to pull out all the stops to win the midterms. If they win the midterms, we will have nothing but 2 years of impeachments on Donald Trump again, and his agenda will be stopped. So we really have to do what we can we should get rolling now, in other words. We can't wait around forever. Before we know it, it's going to be midterm time. They're dragging their feet in Washington on the big bill. They're dragging their feet on everything because they don't want him to succeed. The people, you and me, all of us, we will make him succeed. So we need to take us back and go for it. So thank you very much. Thank you for watching. God bless America, and we'll see you next time.